Welcome to the racing capital of the world, Speedway, Indiana, for the greatest spectacle in virtual racing, the 2025 RSRA Indianapolis 500. We are back on the air, after a 3-year absence, as we enter the dawn of a new track model making its debut next year, and several rookies with plenty of star power. Yes, sponsored by Shell, Penske Fuel. We are moments away from the 11 rows of 3 cars firing up for the pace laps, as we take one last look at these Dallara DW12 IR18 cars with Chevy or Honda engines before they get rolling. Hello everybody, I'm Davy Bird Randall. Let's take a look at our starting grid. Starting on the pole is the number 75 Best One Chevrolet of Lita Twain, followed by 2022 winner Zufina in the number 4, and Shaka Dumars in the number 46. On the inside of row 2 is the number 31 of Clarence Patterson, followed by the number 45 of Sam Goende and the number 41 of Ian Braxton. As we move on to row 3, the number 98 of Big Bad Panera Bennett on the inside, followed by Jay Dino and Dragante. In row 4, just outside of our Fast 9, we have the number 16 Summit Racing Equipment Chevrolet of Davy Bird Randall, along with the number 30 of Steve Scheinfeld and the number 27 of Ricky Haley Stevens on the outside. In row 5, we have the number 19 Craftsman Chevrolet of Ricky SF Walters, followed by the number 26 of defending RSRA Indy 500 champion Diana Evans, and Houghton Bryant to her outside. On to row 6, we have Diana Evans' teammate Hayden Wells, followed by the rookie of Esper Davidson in the number 55 Panera Bread entry. To her outside, Kyle Morgan. Moving on to row 7, on the inside we have the OG, the inaugural RSRA Indy 500 champion from 2021, Oranges and Cream Dino, in that iconic number 6 Van Aken Clayton entry, looking for a possible second victory here at IMS. In the middle is the number 62 of Reese Sanders, and to her outside is the number 64 of Beige Perry. In row 8 is the number 71 of Kerry Wright, followed by the number 68 of Smooth Midnight Gladys Johnson, and the number 21 of Glidin' Fightin' Chicken Bryson on the outside. In row 9 are the number 15 of Kanaya Bradley, the number 14 of the 2022 RSRA Indy 500 champion Clarissa Martin, and the number 48 of Slimy Scaly on the outside. Here on the second to last row, 10, is the number 68 Royal Purple Machine of Brenda Popperton, followed by Cale Wheatley and Keyshawn Parker. And rounding out the 11 rows of 3 are the number 29 of Sal Grigson, the number 76 of Yam Garrett, and the number 87 of Manny Watson. Now let's look at this relatively long list of RSRA Indy 500 DNQs for this year. Twig Nubo, Becca Claiborne, Fred Joyner, Ken Garrett, Marcy Del Mays, Cool, Rosemary Kiefer, Catherine Nakasha, S Flame, Greg McKnight, Blaze McCoy, Pinky Dino, and Rick Giles. Now the 3 highlighted in yellow, not only is it their first time to not make the show, but the first time to not make it along with their partner, be it Ken Garrett's little brother Yam, or Twig Nubo and Rick Giles. Of course, Twig's fiance being Shaka Dumars, who starts 3rd, and Rick Giles' wife being Ian Braxton. In addition to the other fine print, including how Greg McKnight is a rookie. Here at RSRA, we like to shake up the last row qualifying format for our Indy 500. This year, after bump day, everybody who didn't make it went to Lucas Oil IRP nearby and ran a 50-lap shootout race to determine spots 31 to 33. Sal Grigson came out on top, so he will start alongside Yam and Manny, who finished 2nd and 3rd respectively. 40 laps, which is 100 miles. Sorry, forgot that last year's was 50 laps. We'll go back to that next year. The famous 2.5 mile quad oval. I like to call it the squared circle. Of course, Diana Evans is your defending RSRA Indianapolis 500 champion in 2024. Can she go back-to-back? Which would also make her the first driver with multiple RSRA Indy 500 victories as well. And Lee's average speed for the qualifying lap was 230.77 miles per hour, clocking in at just under 39.3 seconds to start at the very front. Some pretty big race headlines for this afternoon. This is RSRA's 5th annual Indy 500, which is pretty long for anything rFactor related nowadays. Several former RSRA Indy 500 champions have won and at least ran up front really often. So could this be the year that either Orange's, Clarissa, Zufi, or Diana cross that yard of bricks first again? The big one. Will we get some big crashes or run caution free like some other racing series? Will the house team take the win this year? Could Davy Bird, Hawkton, or Beige finish on top? rFactor's Oval AI is allegedly a piece of work. Can they race believably enough this year? How will Shaka, Eon, and Yam handle driving without their buddies on and off the track this year at the Yard of Bricks? Yeah, this is the menu song from NFL GameDay 99. I thought this sounded the closest to that early mid-2000s NASCAR on NBC starting grid song. It has similar vibes, those sports highlights guitar riffs. In fact, it took a while for somebody to find this, so thank you for doing so. Next year, RSR will have a newer version of Indianapolis Motor Speedway thanks to LFT tracks, further enhancing their modernized IMS for rFactor. We'll include the current Indy Grand Prix road course layout, the main oval, of course, the early 2000s F1 road course, similar to what we already use for our Indy Grand Prix, the dirt oval, and updated graphics. Once again, thank you LFT. Let's look at some of our tips to win. Keep it rolling, Penny B, keep it rolling. Once you get the lead, don't look back, as several others have a chance. As the pole sitter, everybody will want to take a bite out of your spot. He's a martial artist. He's used to this kind of thing. Defend, defend, defend. Who knows, maybe that dragon could end up in victory lane. Cool, calculating sprint car ace Steve Scheinfeld knows finesse and strategy. He could use his skill to reel in that victory this afternoon. Known for her explosive racing style, Diana could go 2 in a row here, possibly drafting off her buddy Hayden Wells if it's not at the last minute. Like Diana, she has won here before. Like Steve, she is technical and methodical in her racing approach. If Zufi plays it right, her best lap could be the one that counts. Shigeaki Walters has had an impressive first run at IMS so far. His throwback paint job for the remainder of this year is a tribute to Shigeaki Hattori, an IndyCar legend who died in an accident earlier this year. Rest in peace. There's do it for Dale, now there's do it for Kale. Let's do it for Shiggy, and bring it on home. After the race, Davy Bird Randall has to pull double duty. Can he commentate and edit the race footage to bring the RSRA IndyCar Series back to YouTube? The fans are on their feet. Here it is, the green flag is out, and the 2025 RSRA Indianapolis 500 is underway. And it is Zufina who leads the first lap. That was a little too close to call, but the 2023 winner made it to the line first for lap number 1. Randall into the wall. Keeps going. Maintains that lead. Abrax and the Happy Dragon in a tight battle for second. Gigante trying to hold on to that lead as he crosses the yard of bricks again. Twain is back out front. Rookie SF Walters right behind him, looking to take over. Orange's and Cream Dino has taken the lead. Can she do it? Can she finish the race like this? The crowd goes wild. And now it will be Shigeaki, Fujiwara, Walters getting by Oranges to take the lead. As they just passed the guy who won at IRP. And now Bennett to the lead, after getting by her teammate Oranges and a lapped Kanaya Bradley. Bennett in a tight battle for the lead with SF Walters. Randall in third, two dinos trading pain in front of him. Popperton sees Penny in her mirror, as well as the blue flag. Race control is saying she needs to get out of the way. And here comes the showstopper, Steve Scheinfeld, as he takes the lead from the pole sitter, Lita Twain. White flag, 1 lap to go. Will it be Lee? Will it be Steve? Will it be Shig? Will it be anybody else? Less than 2.5 miles and under 40 seconds to find out. And Steve Scheinfeld is your 2025 RSRA Indianapolis 500 champion. Let's take a look at our unofficial results. The finishing order. Steve Scheinfeld is your winner, followed by Lita Twain, SF Walters, by the way the highest finishing rookie. Then Diana Evans, Davy Bird Randall, Panera Bennett, Dragante, Idris Leonese, Delra, Reese Sanders, Oranges and Cream Dino, Esper Davidson, Clarence Patterson, Jay Dino, Hayden Wells, Ian Braxton, Ogden Bryant, Zufina, Beige Perry, Clarissa Martin, Kerry Wright, and Chicken Bryson round out your top 20. And then Haley Stevens, Slimy Scaly, Bacalian Wheatley, Smooth Midnight Gladys Johnson, Kyle Morgan, Sam Gwende, Keyshawn Parker, Shaka DeMars, Brenda Popperton, Kanaya Bradley, Yam Garrett, Sal Grigson, and Manny Watson stays where he started, in the 33rd position. Once again, congratulations to the showstopper, Steve Scheinfeld, your 2025 RSRA Indianapolis 500 champion.